most respected
Office Furniture Direct.
All right, welcome to another edition of DTPDX Live. We're at the corner booth here at the Limbo Lounge at Dante's in beautiful downtown Portland, or pretty much downtown Portland. We are here and we are having ourselves a good time like every week. And if you're watching the show, thank you so much. No matter where you're watching it, if it's on Twitch or Twitter or YouTube or Facebook Live or wherever you're getting it, thank you so much for hanging out. We're here, and every week we have another guest, and this week we have a great guest. We have Kelly Gately with us, but your friends call you Gator, or everybody calls you Gator.
Exactly.
How did that happen? I have an understanding why.
Yeah, exactly. Well, my last name being Gately, it was my grandfather's and my father's nicknames, and it was kind of passed down. As soon as my friends, I never really had a nickname, but as soon as I started like touring more and being around all kinds of different people and names that kind of stick, people would, kind of like, as soon as they found out that was my, parents' nickname, it just like stuck because it's, so it's like people like love nicknames and everything. So, and I'll take it.
You could be like the third, though, right?
Exactly.
See,
People just constantly ask me if I'm from Florida. It's a confusing thing. I'm like, no.
Not from Florida. Not from Florida.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad that you could come by and sit in the corner booth and hang out with us. Like I said, every week we sit down and we chat with somebody else,
Cool.
handpicked by our producers here at Dante's, which is always cool.
Yeah.
And you're in an elite club. Guess what? You're in the on-time club.
All right.
A lot of guests are on time. I'm not going to mention any of them by name, Storm Large. But other than that, you're on time. So you're in like the elite five.
All right.
On time.
I battled trap. I made it literally just in the door time.
I give Storm a hard time because she was our very first interview we did. And we got here and there was some kind of mix up and it was like 3.5 hours later.
Yeah.
It was a really long time. It wasn't just like, 10 minutes.
Yeah.
It was like a long time. I thought something happened to them because they left and then I gave a long time. But we still love you, Storm. I'm just giving you a hard time.
I love you too, Storm. I worked with Storm here for years and stuff. So
I was just going to
I
ask
worked
you.
at Dante's forever. So
I was going to ask you, how long have you been working at Dante's and things affiliated with?
Well, I started at Dante's around the year 2000 in the pizza window. I initially started kind of playing shows here a bit too because I already worked downtown at bars like Shanghai Tunnel and stuff like that.
And the pizza place was called something different then.
Well, it was just basically called like Dante's Pizza back then. That was before Lonesome's and stuff like that. It was just when it was just still our like own pizzeria, essentially,
Gotcha.
So, yep. And then I kind of graduated my way out of there. I started working more behind the bar, and as I continually, kind of got a little more traction and stuff going on with, playing more shows here and stuff, I started working a little closer with like production, other kinds of people and stuff like that too. So I've been around the whole
got fans.
thing.
Look at that. You got fans.
Yeah, but it was from then until about 2016, and then I moved to Minneapolis, and I just returned the end of this February. So I was gone for about 6 years.
So you went to the Midwest.
I did. I grew up originally in kind of North Dakota. Went to college, Minnesota. It's like back in the dark ages of the 80s and stuff. And lived in Missoula, Montana for a while too. And then I moved here in about 98. So
I know a lot of you Minnesotan guys. I played a lot of hockey with you guys up north in Alaska.
Yeah, hockey growing up too.
All right. Yeah. It's I think isn't it like when you're born, you have to play hockey?
Pretty much. It's a total rite of passage there, completely.
I have a good friend who was one of the first guys to ever make it on the Minnesota hockey team from a different state.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's a big deal.
Yeah. McLuhan, or
gotcha.
McSwain, excuse me. He was great. Still is a great guy, but he was one of those first guys. Always one of those short players,
Oh, yeah.
Really squirrely and get you. He
yeah.
played with the Flames too for a while.
Oh, gotcha.
So he's went to the pros, but
it was a big deal just to be from North Dakota and go play in Minnesota.
Right.
And North Dakota's already like totally the most hardcore hockey state as well too, but Minnesota is even more hardcore.
Well, that's good. You're a hockey fan still, I take it?
I am,
Okay,
definitely,
good.
yeah.
You've been watching any Stanley Cup playoffs?
Not too much lately, 'cause it's been kind of busy with like other stuff kind of going on, but
I'm glad Seattle
hopefully-
has a team now because that's
exactly,
where I'm
it's great.
from.
Yeah, totally.
Originally, and so I went up there for a couple games this year. It was nice to have pro hockey here.
Absolutely.
I love junior hockey too.
Yeah,
don't
most
get me wrong.
definitely.
But yeah, hockey fans, we could sit here and talk hockey all day.
Oh, exactly.
Oh my
I
God.
became a little bit of a Wild fan. I won't lie, after living in Minnesota for a while.
How
It was
can
pretty
you
great.
not?
No, exactly.
You'd have to attach yourself to that bus if
Exactly.
you're hanging out there. Just like I was a Kraken fan all season, and for 25 years plus, I was an Oilers fan.
Yeah.
I still rooted for the Oilers, which we
Yeah.
just got skunked by the Avalanche. If you're watching this later, oh my God, that was a terrible series. But away from hockey, but going to Minnesota, hanging out there for the last 6 years, and then coming back to Portland.
Yes.
How do you feel about that transition? I mean, to the Midwest, I was just there not too long ago. It's kind of clean,
It is.
nice.
Yeah, it's good to be back. I mean, Minneapolis is definitely, caught a lot of the wild activity during the whole, uprising stuff and everything. I lived about 6 blocks away from the George Floyd murder in South Minneapolis, so
God.
I was right in the heart of the kind of the insanity and stuff. It was pretty wild. I mean, I understand a lot of it. I get it. It was just
Things
it
that
was
shouldn't
wild
happen.
times.
Right?
Yeah, exactly. It was just a crazy combo of a lot of different kinds of people, a lot of different kinds of emotions pouring out, and stuff like that. And I totally, I feel it. It
But
was,
you were in that whole.
It was exactly. I think besides all that, it's just good to be back for me back in the Northwest, because as much as being a Midwesterner and growing up there, I kind of feel like culturally it's just a better fit for me out here. I mean, I'm not really, and this is not a poke at the Midwestern thing, but I'm not like really a big family man or religious, and a lot of things that kind of sculpt a lot of the culture out there, and a little more conservative and reserved.
I
Which is
feel
cool.
like that too when I
But
was
people
out there.
just like it that they want it that way. They just don't want things to change. And
Yeah.
that's kind of that's cool. But
That
it's
sounds
kind of
like-
not how I feel. I'm a little more like move forward and kind of change things up and switch life around a little bit. But
Well, right now, folks, we're getting to know Gator right here on DTPDX Live. You can follow us, of course, on Twitter and on Facebook at Downtown PDX Live. Always check those out. Also, follow us at TalkCast PDX. As we continue our conversation here, you left, you came back. What have you been doing since you got back to Portland? Matter of fact, actually, just back up a sec. What were you doing in Minneapolis?
Minneapolis, I was working at a restaurant, doing front of house management at a really awesome kind of local neighborhood spot. It was actually one of the things I truly miss about living there was my job. I mean, I like my current job as well too, but I just
transitioned into the food world from being in broadcasing for 30 years.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah,
and I worked in food before that, all for a few years while I was getting my career going. But then I just got out of doing that. And I love it.
Yeah, I do too. I absolutely love it. I just feel like, I'm a little gregarious and I like people and stuff, and I get along, and I think my personality, it suits, pretty well. So I was running a bar out there. It was pretty sweet. I just really missed, it's a little, like I said, kind of back to the cultural aspects of the Midwest. It's a little harder to kind of get to know people there and stuff like that, because people are a little more reserved and
they are.
kind of back off. And I wanted to play more music when I was there, and most of my connections and my all that stuff I had built is all in the Northwest, because I basically spent a large amount of time, especially when I was really active in the music industry, more out in this neck of the woods.
Right.
So I was pretty excited to come back. I miss my friends. I won't lie. You get in these ruts where I just want to change, and all this different things,
But
and
you grew up here, right?
Yeah, this is my kind of more like my home. That's all I got to say. So it's like I was feeling all those pains, in 2016, where a lot of people with, I think, like stagnance and feeling like, like all this change here and gentrification, blah, blah, then you search for something else and move somewhere else, and it's just all the same shit.
It happens the same thing, yeah. How old were you when you moved to Portland the first time? Did you say you grew up in Minnesota?
Yeah, North Dakota, actually, out of high school. And then
same but different, right?
Yeah, exactly. But then I went over to school in Minnesota in Moorhead, which is right across the border from Fargo, till I was in my early 20s. From early 20s to about 28. I lived in Missoula, Montana.
Nice place.
And loved it. It's my favorite place I've ever lived, probably. And I moved here when I was 28 in 1998.
Okay, that's not too bad. When I find at that age, because I moved around a lot too in my 20s. I moved to Alaska, back to Alaska.
Yeah.
So I'm, all over, back and forth. But I always seem to come back to the Northwest.
Absolutely.
I went back to the Seattle area for a little while and just didn't, because that's where I'm from originally. And it wasn't the same vibe.
Of course.
So we made a trip to Oregon. Next thing I know, hey, this is a nice town. Portland's cool. I don't want to live in Portland. You know, I want to live out in wine country, but it's close. Type
Exactly.
Of situation. So you get really the best of both worlds. You can get the best of both worlds.
Absolutely.
Some people are forced into having to pay extreme amounts of money for rent.
Absolutely.
Which can be tough.
It is. I mean, we were able to land something pretty quick when we got back through a friend who owned a pretty awesome duplex in a pretty great neighborhood too. And so we were able to kind of the planets aligned pretty quick, and we were into somewhere to live within about 5 days of moving back here. My wife and I were. So we were pretty pumped. But I mean, it's definitely the rental market's a little dismal looking sometimes.
Yeah, and, it wasn't even that great in 2015 when I arrived here, January 2015. I had to condo surf for like a year before I figured out where I wanted to live.
Exactly.
And it was like, oh boy.
We're a little on your page. My wife and I, would love to like move just a little bit out of the mix somewhere, maybe like 20 miles out of town, within like a half-hour proximity or something like that. Just because
30 was my limit.
Yeah,
at the point,
kind of like about with us too.
I was like 30. I could at least maybe even drive partway and get on a train, or so. And I did that for a couple years.
Yeah,
I drove from Forest Grove to Hatfield in Hillsborough.
Oh yeah,
and got on the train every day and took to work, and it was freaking awesome.
Yeah,
save a bunch of miles on your car, things like that. And then COVID hit, of course.
Oh yeah,
that all came to a crashing end because nobody wanted you to take the train to work anymore. You had to drive to work. And all these
if you even had a job,
even if you had a job,
yeah.
But yeah, and those times aside, I mean, pandemic aside, I hear you're in a band, right?
I am not super active right now, but I played in bands for years. I played a band that was actually what kind of brought me to Portland. We were playing a band called Fireballs of Freedom. I know this band. Yeah, we moved here all together. We were all from the same region of the Midwest. We all moved to Missoula together.
What was it? You guys are from Fargo, technically?
Yeah, exactly. Basically, I'm from like Jamestown, but a couple of dudes from Fargo. We all kind of met in Fargo, Moorhead State, right across the river in Minnesota.
That's cool.
That's where we met. We were kind of looking for something else besides there, get to the Midwest. We wound up in Missoula for 6 years, and then just wanted to break. We started kind of playing shows out here and, getting a little more, kind of a little deep into the Northwest scene. And we just kind of thought Portland would be the next best transition.
Explain your sound, Fireballs of Freedom, to people.
Fireballs of
if
Freedom,
they've never heard it.
Kind of wild blues influenced, like psychedelic, kind of hardcore psychedelic, like punk or something like that. There's definitely probably elements of a lot of that. A little classic rock maybe, but more of like post-punk.
I was doing some research beforehand, and I noticed some names of your albums because I'd heard your band before.
Yeah,
I hadn't dived into the album. I like the album called Total Fucking Blowout. If fucking's in the title, I'm in. It's just say I'm in. I want to check it out. Those kinds of.
That name almost didn't actually there was like little interpersonal conflicts with that name.
We don't want that.
Yeah,
nobody will ever play it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that kind of type of stuff. Like my parents will get mad or something like that. I mean, I didn't care, but
Yeah, you're a grown man. Get over
exactly.
it. That's not very punk rock. If you think your parents are going to be offended by it.
When really in the end when it was released, the title was very universally well accepted. I mean, everybody was like, "That's fucking awesome."
So you guys played here for a long time, or
we did. We were really active until probably 2010. We played in Europe and. Played lots of shows around the United States, touring all over the place and stuff too. And then I kind of started splitting up, playing other bands, kind of doing session stuff, doing tour stuff with other bands and stuff. And I've been pretty active. The least active I probably was when I was in Minneapolis. Was definitely playing some music.
Gotta survive,
COVID,
man.
Yeah, but COVID was a little bit of a chunk of that, and that things got pretty grim. And there wasn't much going on.
What's your main instrument of choice?
Guitar, definitely for live, music, and probably vocals. At home recording. A little bit of everything. I do like programming and synthesizers and just a little bit of everything. I
call that the Grohl feeling because
exactly
because when he put out that first Foo Fighters, that was all him or Lenny Kravitz too. It seems like they all play all their instruments and then then they get a band together and go on tour.
Exactly,
that's kind of how it always. I like that though.
Yeah, no, it is cool. Exactly.
Who else was popular for doing that? Steely Dan, I guess.
Oh, of course, yes, yeah.
Getting the studio musicians together, killing it, and
Stevie Wonder.
Yeah, Stevie Wonder.
Pretty much played everything, Prince,
I just heard a funny story about Stevie Wonder. Somebody said that he could actually see, and it's all just been a sham. I was trying to remember who told me that. It was just because by coincidence he had caught something that somebody dropped at the same time.
Yeah.
It's like, come on, his hand was just over
Yeah.
It's not like he was like grabbing.
Yeah.
We love you, Stevie.
Yeah, exactly. I don't think he's lying.
So you're back here. You're over at the Star.
I am correct. Yeah, I came back. It was really nice to come back and work for the Dante Star family again.
Yeah.
Since I was also working a little bit before I I was working at Star as well and Dante's before I moved away in 2016. So it's a lot of the old crew is still here, a lot of familiar territory.
That's nice, though.
I love working for Frank and everybody here. It's
Yeah,
awesome. It's been
Frank
great to
is
be
awesome.
back. You know, I won't lie.
I like Frank a lot. I don't work directly for Frank, but who Frank says to interview, we interview.
Yeah, exactly.
We love you, Frank. And
Thanks for having me back, Frank.
Yeah, we just like coming here and hanging out. It's one of those things.
Exactly.
So speaking of Dante's here in beautiful downtown Portland, we got some shows coming up. We like to mention a few shows on this program. So on Thursday, the 9th, we have Atrocity Girl with Unfit to Rest, Nobody Special, and the Unquotables. I like those guys. That show's only $10. And then on Friday night, it's called a band called Goodnight Texas. I heard a little bit about these. Good.
Yeah.
Tickets only $15. Looking for something to do on a Friday or Thursday night. There you go. And always great stuff on Saturday and Sunday. Sundays, of course, it's Inferno Cabaret.
Oh yeah.
Cellotronic, I guess, is coming this Sunday, so that's cool. And then on Saturday, it's Illsuance with Owls. I haven't heard them.
I have not either.
I sound like an old man.
Yeah.
Hey, ever heard them?
Where's that? Some of that rock and roll music?
And Sunwell and French Letter. So that's what's happening here at Dante's. Check out danteslive.com if you would like to find out more. Now, you work over at the Star.
I do.
So can you kind of help me what's going on over at the Star at the end of this week, like Friday,
stuff.
Saturday, maybe?
Yeah, I know we've got a good show from Sold Out Productions, Roots, something
Yeah,
on
Through the Roots.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm not exactly sure, but all their shows are great. All the Sold Out Production stuff is just good. Like a lot of good reggae and like world music and funk and stuff like that. They're pretty awesome. I'm really looking forward to the show on Saturday, which is Horrors.
Yeah,
More like kind of, like heavy, like noisy, kind of wild, like post-punk kind of stuff. A little more what I'm into, I won't lie,
I dig that, though.
Yeah, they're good.
So it's Horrors with Bummer and Capra on Saturday, 9 o'clock. Doors open at 8. It's $18. That looks like a hell of a fun time.
That'll be a ripper. It'll be good. Exactly.
So startheaterportland.com. You want to check that out if you're looking for something to do.
Exactly.
We have a little bit of time left. So
another great show, not to start to plug something, is
a
week from this coming Sunday, we have which is We Intend to Cause Havoc, which is a Zamrock band, more like like a crazy like African like psychedelic band that have been around since the 70s. They're incredible. That's already sold out, I believe, but that's something I'm really looking forward to as far as the show. That's something I'm highly interested in myself. So,
do you have any plans on getting back in the studio, making any music with anybody in the future?
I do. I'm gonna hook up with some of my X-Fireballs dudes. I mean, I guess we're still kind of current. We were almost thinking kind of maybe playing some shows again, but I think we're gonna slowly start. I wrote a lot of music over the pandemic, and I think we're gonna try to lay some of it down in the studio and kind of feel things out, kind of take our time. Maybe we'll come back. Maybe I'll start a new band. I mean, kind of thing just in general too. It's just been kind of. I'm just leaving my options open. I'm pretty fresh back in town, so
yeah. Well, that's cool. So starting a new band, though, you could really do some fun stuff. You could come up with some weird things happen.
Absolutely.
Be a little more nichey, maybe.
Exactly.
Exactly. You had that itch that you've always wanted to scratch somewhere.
Exactly.
And you just
I've been focusing on a lot of different kinds of styles. Not like styles, but just little approaches to recording and stuff too. So maybe I could bring in some different kinds of spice, some different things out of the spice cabinet and drop there on the kind of genre factor, so.
I was always a punk rocker. I was in a couple bands when I was younger, in my early 20s. This is in the Seattle scene times.
Yeah.
And, everybody was doing the grunge thing. We were like, fuck that. We are going to just melt your face. Yeah, exactly.
Did you ever play that place, Lake Union Pub? Do you remember that?
I know. I've been there a couple times, but I never played there. We played mostly in Tacoma.
Oh, yeah.
Red Roof Inn. Places like that, Gorillas.
For sure.
Yeah. But I always thought it would be cool. Secretly, always, don't hate me, punk rockers, always secretly wanted to be in a ska band.
Oh, yeah.
just, man, get down and have some fun and just, play some deep beats and, kind of jump off with horns. I love horns. So,
me too.
Those
I
types
like
of things.
when it comes to ska, I definitely like a little more the kind of dance hall, kind of like 60s kind of like stuff is a little more kind of in my a little more R&B influenced stuff.
I always dug that. That's what I really liked about the 80s a lot was the horns.
Exactly.
I mean, the horns were. I mean, not to say the 60s and 50s weren't full of it, but in the 80s you had the synths and the guitars and stuff mixing with the horns more. And but it seemed like every song somewhere had some kind of horn solo.
Oh yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Something like that. It was awesome. By the way, Horn Solo would be a good name for a cover band that does, some kind of fun stuff. Star Wars theme or some shit like that. Well, that's cool that you got, you're going to try to start a new band. I'm really interested to see where you might go with that.
Yeah,
I'd like
and I'm
to
excited to just do something kind of a little different and stuff too.
Yeah.
I kind of felt like we spent like the last kind of maybe decade of in the Fireballs of Freedom more like we all got busier and a little older, and every single started having kids, things going on like that, and more like dedicated to your careers, things like that. I kind of felt like the music. I mean, as far as like we're more rehearsing just to play shows when somebody would ask us just to do a show. We wouldn't really get together that much, so I kind of feel like maybe injecting some new life into that and taking a little slower with some, creating some new music, or like I said, just starting a new band altogether.
That's awesome.
I'm gonna keep it going. Yeah.
Well, Kelly Gately, or Gator, as we like to call you, thank you for coming by and sitting in the corner booth for 20 minutes.
My pleasure, buddy.
Just shooting the shit. That's what we do here,
exactly.
And kind of knowing what's going on. And if you folks you want to find out a little bit more about Kelly, you can come by the Star Theater and hang out with him.
Yeah, come by and see me anytime. I'll be there.
He'll be there for all the shows.
I'll make you a Gatorita.
There you go. What's in the Gatorita?
A little splash of orange juice.
Oh, and a whole lot of
love.
There you go. Get a Gatorita at the Star Theater. Make sure you check out Downtown PDX Live on Facebook and on Twitter. And we want to thank Gator again. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me, sir.
Yeah, thank you.
Appreciate it.
We're going to split for now, but join us next week. We'll have another great guest right here in the booth here at the Limbo Lounge, live from Dante's. Again, thank you for joining us, and keep on keeping on. Until next time, I'm Justin McDonald. We'll see you later.